Adopting technology is never easy, and it often scares us because of the massive lift that it can put on the team and put on individuals to actually execute on this work. It's the right thing to do oftentimes. If you're still going through the process of deciding which technology or which apps is the best one for you, or working through where automations can help, we have a few videos that we'll link below in terms of how to select the right technology for you and how to go through this process of identifying automations. One of the first things that I actually recommend to people that often gets overlooked is, what is the UX UI? In other words, how does it look and feel? We often take those things for granted, but I'm a big believer that in terms of change management, if our teams, if our employees, if the company doesn't really love working in the product, even if it solves all of your pain points, then we're kind of missing the mark. Because if the team doesn't love going in there and wanting to use the apps, the reality is they'll just avoid using them where they actually could benefit from them. Once you've decided on the app, like I said in that last video, go check that out, get the team involved early. Now, it doesn't need to be the entire team. You can have one champion, or you can have one individual that's really responsible for this. But I really recommend getting the team involved early. This team member that's going to be involved should, in an ideal state, be someone that will actually be using that app. Now, why is this important? Why does this matter? If you can get someone on your team involved in not just the selection of the app, but the actual implementation and change management piece, it's going to be a lot easier to have the rest of the team adopt that technology and leverage the best use cases and the best practices if they've kind of been a part of this journey and have learned it all along. Through that process of identification and getting the team involved early, test, right? This is a marathon, not a sprint. So don't focus on having to rush this implementation and squeeze it in within a 1 month period. Now, a 1 month period may be fine if it's a small, discrete app that only a portion of the team is using. But if a majority of the team is using it or multiple teams are using it, take your time. Think about the seasonality of your business. Are there certain intervals throughout the course of the year that work is a little bit slower, teams are taking a little bit more of a breather? Like, focus the time and effort there during those periods versus trying to get it out before your next busy season, whatever that busy season is. Before we start with technology, before you actually make that app selection process, and before you actually start implementing it and enacting change management, document your processes. Now, documentation, we have a few videos on that we'll link below as well. But document the current state before any new app is involved. What this is going to do is it's going to help you better understand and your team better understand how you're actually using this app today. We all know that if we go through the process and we ask ourselves, what are we doing in this app? We can all rattle those off. But when you can actually put it on a map and a visualization of how your team is using it, the discrete fields, the discrete pieces of the app, the discrete technology, you start to uncover a lot. And so when you document the current state, when you go to enact change management or your team starts to enact change management, now you have a representation of both. Here's how you're doing it today, and here's how it's going to be done in the future. Having these two pieces together, both the current state, how you're doing it in your existing technology, and then future state, how it will be done in the new technology, is going to be transformational and is going to help your teams actually adopt this. Now, I know you're probably asking the question, I haven't started using the app. How do I know how that future state is going to look? Well, that's why this process takes time. And that's why I don't recommend that teams try and rush the implementation of new apps before a busy season. So take that time, even if you start up with 1 license on that app or 2 licenses, not deploying it to the whole team, using it within that small champion group, if you will, to start testing and start building out those workflows, building out the infrastructure, building out the process, so that at the end of the day, when it's ready to go live to the rest of your team, you can easily help them with, here's current state, here's future state, and here's how your day-to-day or your workflow changes. Now, in summary, having the champion, testing it out, taking your time, and developing that pre-state and post-state process map together is going to help your team feel more comfortable versus standing up one day and having a whole new system that they need to work in. And having that champion behind the scenes that is supporting them is going to help them actually
come with questions to your team and learn together versus going to that support team at the app. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at strms.io and drop a comment below on where you found that change management has worked for you. Any little tidbits of knowledge or insights for other individuals going through this process themselves.